Today's challenge is to use some scrap fabric and remnants to make an apron. Okay, so these are the pieces that I drew, but we have the top piece here, and then this will be the strap, and then this is the skirt and a pocket here. First, you want to cut all of your scraps into squares and rectangles. This will help making sewing them together a lot easier. Now you want to arrange all of your fabric scraps into a collage that is big enough to cover your pattern. Make sure you account for seam allowance because you're going to be sewing these scraps all together before you cut out your pattern pieces. Okay, so I think I finished laying out my scraps, and then we go into sewing everything together. So I'm doing it two different collages here. Let me just take this part out of the way for the time being. So I'll sew these together, and I'll sew all these together. Okay, now as you can see, I have these all sewn together. What I decided to do is do felled seams on all of these. That makes all of the seams a little bit stronger, which is good for when you do scrap projects because each of the seams can be a weak point. So that kind of keeps it all overall being stronger. It also makes it so that you don't have all of the raw edges on the back side of it. So now it's time to cut out your pattern pieces. So the first thing I am going to do is hem all of these outer edges. So hem around that way and hem around that way. This one, the sides on the inside here that are going to be away against the waistband, those are the ones that I don't need to hem. So I went ahead and hemmed the skirt and bib. To get this put together, what I am going to do is, that's kind of a big, put this put one side face down here, and then we're going to sandwich it between both sides of the belt. And then when we sew it, we're going to sew like all the way down the strip and around the corner and then come back, but like stop before getting to this fabric, so there's going to be a gap here. So now you can see I have this skirt, and then the band here is it's on both sides of the skirt, so you can put it up like that. Now the rest of the band that you have sewn together here, what we're going to do is turn it right side out. So you have everything sewn together up to this point so that you can flip it up. But this part is sewn. So what you want to do first is, of course, clip these corners so that you can get nice points. Then what we gotta do is just turn these right side out through here. Okay, so now you can see I have pressed it up. This part is still open up here. You can see that. It's still open, but I pressed the seam allowance down. So what you're going to do is slip this in here so that the center is lined up with the center of the bottom piece. And then you are just going to top stitch that. Okay. So now you can see I have attached Now let's get the pocket ready. Start by folding over the seam allowance on the sides of the pocket and basting them in place. Then you want to hem the upper edge. I added 1 inch of hem allowance to the pattern. Now you want to sew the pocket to the apron skirt. Sew all the way around the perimeter and then make 1 line of stitches down the center. This will give you 2 pockets instead of 1. Now all that's left is to add something to go around your neck. So get a piece of ribbon or twill tape and sew it to that upper edge of the apron bib. And now you're finished. You have turned your old scrap fabric into a cute new apron.